good evening, and welcome. You're here now and the day is done. All that's left is stillness and a story. A quiet tale, soft with time, stretching back hundreds of years to a world lit by firelight, surrounded by stone walls and open fields, and shaped by the rhythm of the rising sun and the falling night. Tonight, we'll journey gently into the past to explore how people, long ago in the Middle Ages, went to sleep. How they tucked into their straw beds, how they lit candles or listened to the crackle of a hearth, and how the quiet nights of the medieval world unfolded slowly, hour by hour. Let your eyes grow heavy. There's no need to stay alert. Just listen to the quiet story of slumber long ago. Let's begin. Imagine the soft light of an evening sun slipping low over a village of thatched roofs and timber-framed houses. There are no clocks here, only the steady rhythm of day and night. In the Middle Ages, sleep came not with alarms or schedules, but with the dimming of the sky. By late afternoon, people would begin to wind down. Fires were stoked, candles lit, and meals shared around wooden tables. In the countryside, the pace was slow. Peasants, having worked the fields, would return to modest homes, their hands dusty with soil. Inside, the warmth of the hearth welcomed them. There was no electricity, no glowing screens, just the flicker of flame and the occasional sound of a rooster preparing to quiet for the night. Sleep came early, but not all at once. Let us step inside one of these homes. Perhaps it's a small cottage with rough wooden beams above, or a slightly wealthier household with embroidered hangings and feather-stuffed pillows. The bed was not always large or luxurious. For the poor, it was often a simple mattress, stuffed with straw or wool, laid on the floor, or a raised wooden platform. A blanket or two, made of coarse wool, covered them. Wealthier families might have a bedstead with posts and curtains to hold in warmth. The curtains weren't just decorative. They kept out drafts in stone houses and offered privacy in shared rooms. Pillows were rare among peasants. You might rest your head on folded cloth or even a bundle of hay. But for nobles, pillows were embroidered, sometimes filled with down. Often, families slept in the same room. Children might sleep at the foot of the bed, or on a small trundle bed tucked underneath. Privacy, as we know it, was uncommon. But comfort? That came from familiarity and the quiet hum of nightly rituals. Now comes one of the more curious things about medieval slumber, something that might surprise you. In those days, people didn't always sleep straight through the night. Instead, they often slept in two parts: the first sleep and the second sleep. After the sunset, they would drift off into the first slumber around 8 or 9 in the evening. They'd sleep for a few hours and then often wake up. This was not considered strange. It was normal, expected. In the quiet hours between sleeps, sometime around midnight, people might pray, converse softly with loved ones, or simply sit by the fire in reflection. Some read scripture or said night prayers aloud. Others might even step outside briefly into the moonlit yard, letting the cool air touch their skin. Then, after an hour or two, they would return to bed and drift into their second sleep, lasting until dawn. This rhythm followed the natural rise and fall of melatonin, in tune with candlelight and darkness, not alarm clocks or rigid expectations. Sleep was communal, rhythmic, natural. In medieval life, light was precious. Candles were made of tallow or beeswax and not always readily available. Beeswax candles were expensive, reserved for churches or noble households. Most used the dim light of the hearth or a single rushlight, a thin reed dipped in fat. This meant that the night truly belonged to darkness, and with darkness came rest. Shadows lengthened early in winter, and sleep grew longer in the colder months. In summer, with more daylight, people stayed up later. But the patterns remained: soft light, early sleep, middle of the night waking. There were no glowing screens to stir the brain, no buzzing phones or electric hums, just silence, the occasional creak of wood, and the calm companionship of night. As you close your eyes, imagine the sounds that might have filled a medieval night. A distant bell from a monastery striking the hours, the call of a nightingale, or the hoot of an owl in the trees, the occasional murmur of voices through thin cottage walls, or the clatter of hooves as a night watchman passed along cobbled streets. For those in towns or castles, sleep came with ambient echoes: the squeak of armor, the creak of iron gates, the faint sound of prayer drifting through stained glass windows. But in the countryside, the night was quieter. Only the rustle of trees, the chirp of insects, and the slow exhale of sleeping animals in barns. Night was a friend, not a foe, a time of softness and of dreams. Before bed, people had their own little rituals. A warm drink might be prepared, perhaps a broth or an herbal infusion. Chamomile, lavender, or valerian root were common remedies. Mothers often sang lullabies to children, gentle songs passed down through generations. Some believed in sleep charms: a bit of bread under the pillow, a sprig of rosemary to keep nightmares at bay. In wealthier homes, servants warmed beds with stones wrapped in cloth, while poor folk might cuddle close together for warmth. Medieval physicians advised quiet evenings and gentle thoughts. Too much excitement, they said, would stir the humors and disrupt sleep. So people whispered, not shouted. They prayed or meditated, and they let the world grow still. And so the medieval night deepened. The fire burned low, candles melted down to stubs. The world became hushed. Sleep, for the people of the Middle Ages, was a rhythm, a return to quiet, to simplicity, and to dreams shaped by firelight and stone walls. In that long-ago world, with no screens to hold the mind awake, no ticking clocks, only the slow unfolding of night, sleep was not something to fight. It was something to fall into, softly, willingly. Like you are now, you've heard the tale, you've walked through time, and now you may rest. Let your breathing slow. Let the past fade softly into dreams. Good night, and sleep well.